Want to learn more? Take higher out and activate Wake to transform your smile. Contractors, homeowners, are you looking for unbeatable deals on flooring and rugs? Big Norman's Flooring and Rugs heard your call and answered with their new Indianapolis store. Flooring and rugs are Big Norman's specialty. Check out more than 40 flooring colors and styles along with rugs for the most renowned brands. Find something that fits your home or business. Big Norman's, located at 5959 North Michigan Road at the corner of Michigan Road and 60th Street. Stop in and celebrate their grand opening. They have incredible offers, wholesale pricing, and special pricing for contractors. Find out more in store. Did someone say free flooring delivery? They've got that too. Big Norman Flooring and Rugs will also deliver directly to your business or home free of charge. No matter if you buy 10 or 200 boxes of flooring. Stop by today, 5959 North Michigan Road at the corner of Michigan Road and 60th Street. Or call 317-978-7408 for more info.
Child Advocates, breaking ground in Indiana as the only agency that directly represents youth who face abuse and neglect in child welfare cases as their attorney. Breaking ground as the only child advocacy agency with an award-winning race equity program for years that has been interrupting racism for children. We go where others fear to tread. We won't stop seeking justice, equity, and safety to build a better world for children. Join us. Your voice, their future. Learn more at childadvocates.com.
Trying to make sure that our people on the stream can hear us too. And probably when I start, that shouldn't touch the screen. But anyway, 317-972-3008 will be the number that you need to call to be connected to the show on this afternoon. And we have a great show lined up for you here on today. Hope you had a wonderful, wonderful weekend so far. Hope you had a good week on last week. It's beautiful on today. We had quite a bit of rain, so hopefully you're able to navigate around that. And those of you who have basements, if you have not already checked your basement, be sure your crawl space and you have sump pumps, be sure to go down there and check it out so that you can make sure that your pumps have been working. And if you do have sump pumps, be sure to check them if you've had them for a while. Sometimes you build a house or you move into a house and you have sump pumps and you don't check them out, and it could be close to failure. And if you do replace it, or even if you haven't thought about replacing your sump pump yet, be sure you have a battery backup just in case the power goes out. Then that battery will kick in and make sure that you don't have a flooded basement. That could be very, very expensive, especially if you have carpeting in your basement. Be sure to tune in to Tina Cosby in the Community Connection Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. News you can use. And of course, on Saturdays at 12 noon to 1 p.m. right here on Praise Indy, AM 1310, 95.1 FM, your inspiration station for Indianapolis throughout central Indiana. In fact, all over America and some parts of the world, because we are streaming too. I'm going to continue talking about something that is very, very important, and there are meetings and meetings that will take place with regard to our young people and the newly implemented curfew that restricts the activities and movements of young people, particularly on the weekends, but all through the week. So we want to talk about this important issue, how it impacts all of us here in the city of Indianapolis, and this concept of a youth curfew. And this afternoon, we're going to be exploring both the benefits and the challenges of imposing and having this curfew that's already imposed for our young people. And I want to hear from you, 317-972-3008. I don't have any guests in the studio with me on today. It's just us, the community. And after I lay out some of the pros and cons for the youth curfews, going to be opening up the lines for you to share your thoughts and experiences. Are curfews beneficial? Are they too restrictive? How does it affect our youth and our sense of community? And that's what we're here to find out. So let's start with the pros. Advocates for youth curfews argue that they help keep our children safe. And the idea that if teenagers are home at a reasonable hour, they're less likely to get involved in criminal activities or become victims of crimes. It's also seen as a support for parents, helping them ensure that their children are not unsupervised and out late at night. And of course, many of you all who are joining me, and those of you who are on the stream, when we were growing up, if you're under 40, especially if you're under 60, you had to be in when the street lights came on. One of my deacons last Sunday was talking to me about that, and his parents told him, so when the street lights come on, make sure that you beat the street light coming on and that you are in the house. That was the directive given by the parents. And so we understand that our parents play a very, very important role in this. And again, we want to make sure that these curfews are helping to ensure that children are not out unsupervised. And I want to emphasize that unsupervised late at night. And that's one of the big problems that officials and folks who are trying to deal with this are running into. It's not that just that teenagers are out late, 11, 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, but they're not supervised. And now what we're seeing is 12-year-olds. Now, at no time should 12-year-olds be out that late unless it's some kind of very special event. But why would you have a 12-year-old out that late for any reason at all whatsoever? And we've got 12 years old children who are out that late at night, not just downtown, but all over town in some cases. And some folks say, well, there's a lot of hoopla and interest and enforcement on this just because our city's leaders want to save downtown. Now, I would not disagree that our city officials want to preserve downtown. It is the economic engine for the state of Indiana, and it impacts jobs for all ethnicities. So it might be a little bit of truth to that. But I wouldn't say in this case, the catalyst for this curfew, I don't think is that the city leaders want to just protect downtown, hinting toward racism, if you will. I don't believe that. It's a big problem. And some of the folks I've talked to are really concerned about 12 and 13 years old, 14-year-old young people who are out. And it's not just that they're out, but some of them are becoming victims to violent crime. And there are a lot of folks in government and law enforcement and education and religion and other societal influencers who want to make sure that our kids are safe. So on the flip side, there are significant cons. We're talking about pros and cons this afternoon. To consider, curfews can be seen as infringing on the rights of young people, limiting their freedom to participate in legitimate activities after hours, like jobs, study groups, or social events. But I still go to, even with that, most of these events should be over by 10 p.m. And that's late. A lot of them are over by about 9. But when you're talking about 11, 12, midnight, 1 o'clock, just way too late for even supervised young people to be out, except in extraordinary situations where there might be some very, 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 very special event. There's also concern about the potential for negative interactions between police and youth, which could lead to resentment or mistrust in our law enforcement, which we certainly don't need any more of that. It's also crucial to consider the effectiveness of such policies. The question is, one of the questions is, do curfews genuinely reduce crime, or do they simply move these incidents to other times? And what about the impact on businesses that rely on teenage workers or customers in the evening? All of those different things that need to be considered as we are facing this situation. So those of you who are listening on the radio and those of you who are streaming, I certainly want to get your input. I can see the comments on the stream. So if you make a comment, I can see it. And for those of you who are rolling around town, 972-3008. Again, that's 317-972-3008. Talking about youth curfews, the pros and the cons, and your experiences. Have they worked in the past? Do you know of any cities where they are working in? And there are folks who are meeting to discuss this. Folks are talking about it and want all the help and input they can possibly get to deal with this situation. You know, a few years ago, I was talking to some of my colleagues and others about this, the issues involving our young people. And there was a time when there were a lot of programs being created and implemented. You might remember a program called Save Our Seed or Save Our Young People. And there have been all different kinds of titles for saving young men, articles, scholarly articles that have been written on this issue, and all kinds of things. And I can go back just all the way back to 2007, and even in the 1990s, when these issues concerning our youth, but the age was more, particularly with young men, the age was more in the 20s and the early 30s. And who would ever thought that in 2024, we wouldn't just be talking about 30-something or 20-something. And we wouldn't just be talking about teenagers of 17, 18, 19. But now we're not just talking about teenagers. We are all the way down to 12 years old. Some call that age tweens. That's an interesting name, but tweens, those young people who are just about to become teenagers. But who would ever thought that in Indianapolis, and perhaps around the country, but we do know in Indianapolis, that we have 12-year-olds, not even teenagers. And we ought to be talking about this at every opportunity. And we ought to be talking about, because I think that people talk about what they care about, and how we can all be involved to get out in front of this. And there have been all kind of programs. So one of the things is, well, let's figure out what kind of programs we can create and implement that will help to prevent this. But if you go back to the Peterson administration and you get the solutions, and I have that here on my iPad here, and there were just a plethora of solutions that a group of very talented people, bipartisan effort on that issue, that came up with all kinds of solutions to deal with what was going on at that time in the 90s with our young people. And back then, it was at that time, Counselor Vernon Brown and other counselors who crafted legislation, and it was passed bipartisan. I mean, it got passed where there was enough money to even infuse into the system and to dole out to groups who were dealing with these programs. So one of the things and that was done with the county option income tax, which we all pay into public safety. So when people say, well, what are we going to do about it? Everybody does something about it, because if you're working and you get paid, then part of what you make is going into public safety. But anyway, so tens of millions of dollars since 2008 has been disseminated into our community to deal with this problem. So now here we are in 2024. And we have, if you go back 12 years, so we got 12-year-olds who are getting involved in violent crime or becoming victims of violent crime. Let's go back 12 years, and many of our programs have been going longer than 12 years. So are these programs effective? Do we need to approach it in a different way? Is there something that we're missing? Because 12 years ago, a lot of these, 12 years ago, these young people were not even born. They were not even here. So are these programs getting to the right place? I think we need to talk to our educators too. Our educators and administrators, assistant principals and deans, they are around our children quite a bit. In fact, in some cases, educators and daycare professionals, early childhood professionals, they are around our children more hours than the parents are, than the preachers are. And so maybe we need to get closer to our educators. Maybe these programs need to be in a closer collaboration with educators and administrators and all these folks who have our children from anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day. They get them early in the morning, and some of them have them for extracurricular programs or before and after school programs. Maybe we need to be talking to these folks. Maybe they need to be in a lot of these meetings that are being convened to say, well, what are you seeing? What are you hearing? Because they deal not only with the young people, but they also deal with the parents one-on-one. And maybe they know something that we don't know. And if you are already working close to some educators and some administrators and some early childhood care professionals, share the information that you have so we can scale it. If it's working, if you found a way to get it to work to save our young people, then we can scale up those efforts for the greater good of the city of Indianapolis. So we got to take a quick break. And when we come back, the lines will be open. Before we go, let me get this. Robert Murley, he said the enforcement of curfew that is centered in downtown Indy is very short-lived, primarily due to the fact that IMPD is understaffed, which is true, and that they got lots more high priority items to address on a 24/7 basis. So he is correct that IMPD is understaffed and has been understaffed since its implementation in the late 1800s. They have never had the proper proportion of police officers to the people who actually live in the community. At one time, the FBI for Indianapolis posited that Indianapolis should have 5 to 7 police officers per 1,000 residents. Believe it or not, in the late 1890s, the proportion was about 1 to 2, just a little less than 2 if you did the math. And today, in 2024, it's still a little less than 2. We'll be back after this.
2024 is here, and we are officially in primary season. Get registered and help make a difference. Remember, you cannot vote unless you are registered. If you need to find more information about how, when, and where to vote, please visit onevote2024.com. Urban One wants to thank you for registering to vote and to remind you about our state primary on Tuesday, May 7th. Urban One is committed to ensuring voters know of all the information they need to participate in every election. Log on to onevote2024.com.
This is Reality Radio. April is a month of rain and growth is what we need to focus on. In our lives, we always have an opportunity to change that which we know needs improvement. We also have an obligation to collectively help others weather the storm. Storms are not selective about who they will hit. It is past time to stop complaining about corrupt, crazy, and hateful politicians and time to remove them from our payroll. Once someone is elected, they get paid to represent you whether you voted for them or not. They are now the decision makers for the quality of your life and welfare. And if you are not doing better, you should fire them. We have the ability to significantly improve our condition with the power of the vote. Never forget that if you do not go to the polls and cast your vote, you have in fact already voted. This is Reality Radio with Kathy Hughes. What's your reality? What's your reality? What's your reality?
Summer is right around the corner, and so are Indy Summer Learning Labs, with more than 40 locations across the city. Enroll now to get your students engaged in a safe, fun, 5-week summer learning experience for youth in grades 1st through 9th. From reading and math to art and sports, students will learn and have fun this summer. Visit IndySummerLearningLabs.com now to enroll your kid at a location near you. Program dates are June 17th through July 19th. Again, that's IndySummerLearningLabs.com.
Quality care, remarkable people. Eskenazi Health is looking for dedicated professionals who have a passion for their community. Named as one of the best employers in the state by Forbes magazine, and the #1 health system in Indiana for community benefit by the Lown Institute. Eskenazi Health provides excellent benefits, competitive pay, and unwavering leadership support. Learn how a career at Eskenazi Health can benefit you by visiting eskenazihealth.edu/careers.
Find furniture, kitchen appliances, flooring, and more at Chacharas Chuchin, your discount superstore. Make your house a home with these great deals. Giant vinyl flooring, each box only $50. Bathroom vanity with sink starting at only $250. Kitchen cabinets starting at only $150. Call Chacharas Chuchin at 317-964-1570 and stop in at 10202 Chacharas Chuchin, East Washington Street, next to Washington Square Mall.
Lowe's knows pros need the right tools for every job. That's why we sell the largest in-store selection of Klein tools anywhere. Find new items like the self-leveling green laser level for just $159.98. Plus, shop the Connect pass-through socket set for $49.98, which you can only find at Lowe's. Shop Klein tools in-store and online today, because Lowe's knows tools. Lowe's knows pros.
30 seconds.
And connect with Praise Indy on our new listener line, 317-972-3008. From your inspirational requests to joining our community discussions, this is the only number you need, 317-972-3008. That's 317-972-3008. The new way to connect with Indy's inspiration station, Praise AM 1310, 95.1 FM.
All right, welcome back to Unity in the Community. I'm your host, Pastor James Jackson, and it's good to have you back with us. And if you're just joining us today, today's topic is youth curfews right here in Indianapolis. And we've covered some of the arguments for and against curfews. And now it's time to hear from you. The lines are open. Give us a call. Let us know what you think. 317-972-3008. That's 317-972-3008. Brother Emotep, thank you for your patience. Welcome to the program.
No problem, Pastor Jackson. Thank you for my call. You really hit on some good salient points there. I was out in LA a few years back when Tiger Woods built the Tiger Woods Learning Academy. I think Nike helped out with some of it, but he took a lot of his own funds. The building itself was only about $6 million. It was about $6 million. Staff paid, totally staffed everything. In South Central LA, people, that means in an area predominantly Black, Latino minority. And it's paid when it's up and running. Okay. It has helped thousands of children, tutoring, scholarship, a place to go, 3 levels, a place to go. Reminds me when I was little, we went to the Boys and Girls Club, churches. We loved going visiting churches back when I was young, and I'm close to 60, because there was a lot to do there. So my question on that end is, where are 4 places open either every day or on the weekends, just open door policy, not a part of a mentor program like my brother Kareem and Newport, that's different, just open door places that are minimal cost or low or no cost so parents can take children. And then number 2, with the curfew, I looked at 4 or 5 students in high school's IDs this week, and trust me, the difference between a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old is not that much. So how are they going to determine after 11? Because curfew says under 15, you must be in 11, but 15 to 17, they can stay out to 1. So how are they going to determine who's between 15 and 17? Because the high school IDs only have the name and the school in it. They don't have birth date, they don't have social security number, stuff like that. So that leads to me that can create some big more problems that no one has thought about. Because 15 and 17-year-olds can stay out past 11. You're going to have a roundup. What are you going to do, show me my paper or something like that? Then the ACLU going to jump in. So those are a couple things I'm going to throw out there. I'll let you answer. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Welcome, Brother Imhotep. Thanks for your call and comment. And yeah, a significant amount of money invested there. And I do remember, to your point, I lived on Madison Avenue in Muncie. That's my earliest memory, of course, in Whiteley, but particularly over in Madison Avenue. And what was called the Munciana homes. I think there are single family homes there now, but right across the street, there was called a multi-service center, and we could just walk right over there. And there were adults there, and we could play basketball. There were other activities going on there, but it was open. I think some of those kinds of places exist in our community, and perhaps there just needs to be more public service announcements as to where they are. I think that's a good question. Maybe we just kind of need to scour our community and find out where these places are. 317-972-3008, 317-972-3008. Going to Larry. Larry, welcome to the program.
How you doing, Pastor Jackson?
Good, how are you?
It was a good day. I'm going to put out some peas today.
All right.
Hey, listen, every situation that have come on this morning at this station have been about people not taking responsibility for what they do. You had the people that came on with the women that were on there talking about domestic violence. Most of the time, when you get these workers, they're low paid and they're assigned to go around and bust up families, and that's what they do, you know. So, you know, with the kids and the curfew and everything, you cannot tell your 13-year-old don't go downtown after such a time. He'll go down there, and if you try to stop him, he's gonna call the police. They're gonna come to your house. You're gonna be arrested. You're gonna spend 3 days in jail. You're gonna lose your job. I know some person is going through it right now. He's in jail right now. His wife and them missed their rent payment, so they're in a shelter. His kids are gone to foster care. So that's what the law is set up to do. We need to stop concentrating on mitigation and letting these people off the hook for the laws that they enact. We need to be right down there in their face, in Mayor Hognut's face.
Larry.
I take it back.
Yes, it's Mayor Hogsett.
Mayor Hogsett. I mispronounced his name because I'm not that smart.
You're smart, Larry.
Listen. If we keep on going with the mitigation, that's helping our dishonest, crooked politicians to cover up the fact that there are certain trends here in this city or in any city. We need to be in their face. We need to be in the council. We need to be over the legislature in their face. And we need to know what's coming down the tube for us, because all the baseball games, all that other mitigation and garbage, if the laws were correct, if you could correct your child, we would be having this problem, Pastor Jackson, because it wouldn't exist. When people were disciplining their kids, back in the 50s, before the Civil Rights Movement, 95% literacy rate in the black community from 16 to 24. So, you know, we just need to re-examine a lot of things. People have made us, I was talking to my sister, and she's from the old school. She said that what they've done is make us think that we need a lot of things that we don't even need and never have needed. That's how they drew us out of our communities, and we got caught up in the Jew-Jaws, and we still remain in the Jew-Jaws. And all the coaching and coming on being a Pharisee, that's not going to help you none. I mean, the government needs to take responsibility. That's what our government's about, our representatives. Our representatives, we should be down there at their house, at their church, telling their pastor on them, anywhere they go in social circles, we should be there, tell happening out there, those officials should have a tail put on them everywhere they go, and the black community or any community should sponsor that kind of operation against dishonest politicians who are destroying our community. And
All right.
What's your name? They will step down from there.
Pamela.
All right, Larry. All right, Larry. Thanks for your call and comment. I will say that I think we need to have more folks to show up at the city county council meetings. They are open to the public. The majority of them are. We do have folks that we elect to represent us, but I think it would be advantageous to have people from the community to show up so that when many of these things are being talked about, they do allow for public testimony. And that is a time when you can weigh in on a lot of these things that before they become law, before they go to Mayor Hogshead's desk to be signed into law, you can weigh in on it and kind of let folks know how you feel, what you think about it. 317-972-3008. Kamika had a comment. I'll have to scroll back down to see it, but we're going to go to Pamela. Pamela, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you for taking the call. I love the topic this morning. I think it's super huge and important. I have grown 4 daughters in the city of Indianapolis for the last 35 years. I myself grew up on the north side of Indianapolis, and at that time, back in the 70s, we had curfew. Parents were involved in that curfew. Community was involved in the curfew. Over the last 20 years, I've seen a denigration of the community. Nobody wants you in their business. You make a statement to a parent who's over-disciplining their child, and to the point where it's abuse at a store, and that parent says, mind your own business. Well, back in my day, and I'm 57, back in my day, the community was our business, and we didn't have the problems that our youth are having today. Granted, media is a huge proponent of all of this and has really, stepped up the connection of these kids and from the social side and made it such a competition out there. And these kids are posting photos and posting all of this negative stuff out there that there is literally no control by parents at all anymore. However, it is up to the parents, and the parents are the ones also, not just the community, but the parents have to have a main say in what is going on with their children. I did. My kids were disciplined, but they had boundaries. And at the end of the day, when you live in a society where there are no boundaries, because that's the way the social norms are right now, there are no boundaries, parents no longer have a say. So going back to what the previous caller right before me just made statements of, he is 150% correct. The community has to be back involved, but they need to enforce the laws that they enacted. But they also need to step up community policing, because I can tell you, my dad was a police officer back in the 80s. I worked for the police department back in the late 80s, early 90s, and I can tell you, it is a completely different society. Their hands are so tied. People do not understand. The police officers' hands are so tied. So I just wanted to make that statement. But my main statement was really the most important thing is that as parents, you need to have a say-so, and you need to discipline your kids and have boundaries.
All right, Pamela, thank you for your call and comment. Again, 317-972-3008. We're going to go to Mayhem in just a moment. Kamika on YouTube says, dealing with the youth behaviors, we need more classes and support to teach the youth healthy conflict resolution skills and how to express and control their emotions at earlier ages. Yeah, so thank you, Kamika, for that. Let's go to Mayhem. Mayhem, welcome to the program.
Hey, brother, how's it going?
Good.
Good conversation. I'm just listening to everybody. But it comes to a point. On that, hearing a lot of talk. Because when you hear people, they saying back in the day, self-reflection. Maybe because back in the day, our parents really know how to parent. So the generation is saying back in the day, it must be their fault. Because I'm hearing people in their 50s and 60s and why this problem is going on. So just look in the mirror. It's the people who's calling in with the great back in the day stories. It's their fault because they're weak. The parenting is weak. I just don't understand why we can't handle our children. So if you can't handle your children, why are you giving trying to give advice? The Bible said if you can't handle your own house, you can't handle anything else. So we're just hearing a lot of talk. It's only a small percentage of children that need to be dealt with. But we have looked at one scene up from 2-3 weeks ago, and then the news is still showing it. And once again, it always seems like it's the black people's fault why the city is so bad. Now it's our children's fault why the city is so bad. We fall for the trap every time. I don't see media doing it to any other culture in this country or in this state. We are very diverse in this country, but the only time when there's a problem in the city, it's always black people. We need to start looking at media and why they are doing this. And I keep on hearing this little thing that we need government and we need these organizations to control, to deal with our children. That's very strange because our parents always told us we don't deal with strangers. I wouldn't be dropping my children off to strangers. I don't know why we got that in our head that we need to go take our children and go drop them off with other people so they can raise our children. I just hear these people and I hear these weird thoughts, and then we want to know why our children are the way they are. Maybe we keep dropping them off to strangers. And one more thing before I get off the phone, brother, there's certain people and other people have popped up that on the street we don't know who they are, and they always on the news. How is it that we got a great multi black people in the city, but every time when the camera comes on, we got this one guy, Imhotep, had brought up this one guy, I don't know who he is, got this so-called organization, Du Bois, and then we got the 10-Point Coalition talking for every black person in the city, man. We need to start looking at that because we don't see these people, but we always dropping our children off, and then I notice these people are getting grant money to babysit your children, but we still keep having problems. Hey, have a good one.
All right, Mayhem, thank you for your call and comment. Going to San. San, welcome to the program.
Hey, Proverbs 22:6 says, train up a child in the way he should go. When he's old, he will not depart from it. Doesn't mean that child's going to be perfect, but the training, Miss Rose one time, bless her heart, several years ago, said, start number one in the home. Train up the child. You've got to know who your child is. A friend of mine and I were in a really nice restaurant. It was a lady with a little girl. She was sitting there, and the mother was constantly on the phone. And the little girl was with her hands folded. She looked so sad. She looked down. And then my friend said, look at that little girl. And then she said, oh, she looked so lonely. Mama wasn't talking to her. She was on the phone. And the little girl looked at us. And we smiled at her and said, little black girl, hi. She's a little cutie pie. And she waved back, hi. And she looked like, the look on her face, I wish I could sit with you. Like, baby, you're so cute. And she's like, thank you. And she sat and looked at her mother. And we saw tears coming down her eyes. You have to train your child. You can't train your child unless you talk to them. You can't train your child. My son said, thank you. My youngest one went out of college. He said, Mama, thank you for consequences. Thank you for consequences. You have to train the child to be able to take care of themselves, to be able to know how to take care of themselves, to do chores, to be a part of a family, to feel like you're a part of. You have to train a child that there are consequences. And my older kid told the younger kids, if she whispers, she's not going to holler at you. If she tells you something, she whispers, she's going to kill you. No doubt about it. There's going to be consequences. And when you do that, so it starts in the home, and then you take our community. You take our community. Here Okay, one is in med school, one's in entrepreneur, one's got masters. I mean, all over the place.
Yeah.
All over the place. So we as a community, you're right that there was a time when I was little. If a neighbor said you shouldn't be doing that, you said yes, ma'am. I told a young man recently that looked like he had been working. He opened up his backpack, took out a big bag of trash, and threw it in front of my neighbor straight across the street. I said, young man, you shouldn't do that.
Mhm.
You should do that. You should pick that up and just throw it away where you going. I never seen him, so he wasn't one of the kids in our street. He looked at me as if I lost my mind.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was talking, you know, these kids I don't know. So he kept on going.
Yeah.
And so we as a community, we got, if there's anything else, here's a suggestion. In your church, you've got some mothers that are excellent mothers because you see how the children act. In your churches, have something going on in terms of parenting and have the women that you see the results in their children, have them to help, you know, young people that are mothers or single parents and maybe people in the community and have these classes, you know, all throughout the city, conglomerately as a community. Start in the home, continue in the community, and then let kids know there are consequences to what you do. And last thought, I did really good in math because I was daydreaming in third grade. This girl in class was 36. And she called my mom, and my mom was soft-spoken. She said, you daydreaming. I couldn't lie either. And she took me to the room in that little cloakroom and beat me behind and said, Miss Crowley, you make sure that she gets this done. And if it isn't done, she looked at me, I'll have to tell your father. That was the last thing. Hey, I never made nothing less than a B in math from being on up into college.
All right. Sam, we got to move on. We got to take a quick break. Thank you for your call and comment. We'll be back after these messages.
Hey family, it's Erica Campbell.
And I'm Griff from Get Up Mornings.
And we welcome you to join us here at the Get Up Church every weekday morning.
We'll help you get your day started off with all the inspiration and motivation you need to help you have the best day ever.
I'll share a faith walk with you every morning to get up news, and you know we got the music that you love.
You know how we do it, the faith and the funny.
Absolutely, we'll keep on faith walking.
Love talking.
And joy living on Get Up Mornings.
On Praise AM 1310 and 95.1 FM, Indy's Inspiration Station.
Pros, save big every day when you buy in bulk at Lowe's. Save 10% on bulk purchases of select roofing shingles. Plus, save an extra 5% every day on eligible purchases when you use your Lowe's business credit card. Visit us in-store or online for low prices on the materials you need. Lowe's knows pros. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See sales associate for details. 5% offer subject to credit approval. Exclusions and terms apply. See store Lowe's.com/credit for details. U.S. only.
Family, what's up? It's your girl, Darlene. I'm praying that this weekend is going to bring you the time that you need to relax and rejuvenate yourself so that you'll be ready for an exciting week next week on the Nightly Spirit. I will see you then. On Praise AM 1310, 95.1 FM, Indy's Inspiration Station.
I'm going out with the girls this weekend. Nails done, outfit stunner, and my skin, I know it's going to be glowing because I glammed up my shower routine with new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash. It smells so luxurious and moisturizes deep into my skin with its super rich, creamy lather that's bursting with vitamin D3. So my skin glows and my confidence grows. Try new Olay Indulgent Moisture Body Wash for glowing skin in just 14 days.
WTOC AM, W236.
All right, welcome back to Unity in the Community and a very important topic on today, curfews and our young people And some of the curfew hours are really late. And I think that parents need to set their own curfew hours. You know, the curfew allows for some teens to be downtown as late as midnight. And in my opinion, POV, if you will, teenagers should not be anywhere in Indianapolis or out in public unless it's supervised by a parent at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, and especially 1 o'clock in the morning. That's the next day. But different times. We live in different times. Robert says giving the youth a anti-violence T-shirt and letting them play basketball for 5 or 6 hours a day and not emphasizing the solid principles of life is all for naught. So I think it's good to have them doing something and then to incorporate in there some life principles and some things. Mentoring is what that is, to mentor them. If you have them for basketball and different things like that, these kind of activities, that's a great time to help form them spiritually as well. When I say help form them spiritually, it's not just about teaching them principles from the Bible, but in some cases that may not even be allowed, but to teach them good character and integrity and different things like this, like that, that's spiritual formation too. All right, 317-972-3008, 317-972-3008 is the number to call to weigh in on our topic today. San was giving a story about how I think her father disciplined her, and schools used to have disciplinary measures. They're very different now. Maybe if you are an educator, I would like to know, what are the parameters of discipline in school now? When I was coming up, the principal had a paddle, and I think at least maybe one or two other folks in the school were allowed to discipline youth in that way. That has gone, where you would get a paddling for different things that you did in school. But my father came to school. He's gone on to be with the Lord now. But we were living in Muncie, and he came to the school and gave me a paddling. And he never had to come back to the school again. I think I stayed out of trouble because I got a paddling right there in the hallway where the door to the classroom was open, and the other students could hear and see me getting that work over paddling by my father. But he never had to come back to the school again. I'm not recommending that because I think in some cases it results in some childhood trauma that could have a deleterious effect on the formation of a child's mind and personality going forward. So it's a difficult dance here, what we're talking about. There's not just one answer to it, but I think that folks who are a lot smarter than me need to keep working on this. 317-972-3008. 317-972-3008. Again, that's 317-972-3008. I would love to hear from some educators as to what are the parameters for disciplinary action where students are concerned in schools now. And does it work? We'd love to hear from you. So we're talking about this very, very important issue. The curfews for young people are in place. I'm going to see if we got any more comments here on our live stream. So those of you who are watching, if you'd like to weigh in on this too, you can. They're on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. Also on X, formerly known as Twitter. What do you think about the curfews that are in place? And there are folks in law enforcement and government who are meeting to see, well, what else can we do? Not just about the curfews, because that's one tool. That's one tool trying to get a handle on this very important issue. But when it comes to solutions, and I was telling someone this the other day, there are a lot of solutions out there. And I told you earlier about the Peterson administration that came up with a lot of solutions. And then, of course, Subsequently, the Ballard administration came up with a lot of solutions. And then, of course, the current administration, the Hogshead administration, came up with a lot of solutions back in 2016. And so we have a lot of solutions. If you look at all of those different documents about how we deal with crime in general and preventing it, and also how do we deal with youth violence, there are a lot of solutions out there, and there is a lot of money that is being spent on the problem. So where are we missing it? Where is the missing link? That's what I want to hear from you on today. Maybe you know something that we don't know, because when you have as many programs, Indianapolis has a lot of programming to try and prevent violence. Crime prevention dollars have been in place, millions of dollars going back to 2008. That money has been doled out. The Public Safety Foundation has doled out lots of money. The Lilly Foundation has doled out lots of money. And so the programs are being funded, and there are programs all across the city. So where are we missing? And I think someone kind of gave us an insight as to where we really need to kind of start looking at it. I think folks are already looking in that direction, is the parenting piece, and how parents are dealing with their children. But then if you have parents who are doing the best job they can do, and they are raising their children in the right way, but what about those kids that sneak out? And there are some of you who are listening who are adults now, and you snuck out of the house, and you were downtown, or you were around town doing whatever. So those parents didn't necessarily fail, but the child figured out a way to get out of the house, or they go stay with someone who may not have the same parenting principles that you have, and then that child is allowed to go out. I remember a long time ago, I had friends, of course, it was very strict in the household I grew up in, but I had friends, their parents allowed them to do things that we were not allowed to do. But one of the things that my mother was very, very strict on is who we were able to go spend the night with. And I don't remember growing up as a kid being able to go spend the night just anywhere. In fact, it was very, very, very few places where we could be there overnight, where my mother trusted somebody else with her children. There were 4 of us. So I think in this day and time, maybe parents need to watch that a little bit closer, because maybe you are making sure that your children are doing the right thing, and you're raising them properly, and you have standards and various things like that. But then they go stay with someone, and they're able to get out because that parent allows their child to be out a couple of hours longer than you would. You might say, well, you got to be in by 9. Well, in that household, it might be 11 or even midnight. Some parents think of it in terms of, well, as long as you're in before the next day, which would be before midnight, then you're okay. And now the bus lines, they run kind of crisscross the city. So even if young people don't have access to transportation, they might be able to get on a bus or something like that. So 317-972-3008. Again, that's 317-972-3008. The efficacy of curfews and the pros and cons of curfews, and how you feel about it and what you think, whether they're going to work or not. I've talked to some educators about our young people, not just about the curfew, but it's really interesting to talk to educators and administrators, because again, they are spending a lot of time with our young people, and they are around them in many cases more time than parents are. And I think it's important. And it used to be, and I think it may be still to this day, where they had parent-teacher conference days. I don't know if that's still available, or if schools even still do that. But parents could schedule a conference with the teacher, because that teacher is going to be around that child, that student, for a great number of hours. and can kind of tell you, because a lot of times our young people act in a different way when they're in public than they do at home. Going to go to Tamika. Tamika, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Pastor Jackson. How you doing?
Good, thank you.
Great. As an educator, you and I talked before. As an educator right here in the city of Indianapolis, I do understand. You're right. We do spend a lot of time with our kids, and what we see is different. There are oftentimes a lot of parents welcome the input of the school. They welcome the support, but then there are some that they just don't. And so really, as far as parameters, you mentioned about parameters, and as an administrator, those parameters are sometimes very limited because now when you have things in place like CPS and things like that, the smallest thing gets reported. But it's something we have to do by law. However, there are many times when I get with parents and I just tell them, this is what we're dealing with. This is where we're at. If we don't fix this, then A, B, and C could happen. So, we really try our best to work with them. Sometimes it's hard. It is a hard job. It is a thankless job. Some of y'all babies are different in school. We see them a whole lot different than when they are at home. So that is true. But you have a lot of them who really do want to do right. I think a curfew should be in place. Absolutely. I'm a mother of 5, and I want to make sure my kids were never out past a certain time, because when they're not out, they don't get in trouble. So that's all I have for you, sir. I don't want to belabor time, but I just want to see, just want to share with you from my side.
Before you go, what are the parameters now for disciplinary action in schools, as you see it?
Yeah, so like some of them, like it's really at the discretion of the administrator. I don't believe in throwing the book at somebody, but if it's something that's going to disrupt the learning environment, disrupt the well-being and safety of other students, we do things that they can go from having a conversation with the parent. I've done team meetings with parents. We've done detention. We've done things like in-school suspension, having them in school. We have an alternative program in our district where an alternative to suspension, instead of just sending them home, they actually go to another building in our district. So they're still engaged in learning. They're just not in our building. And then, of course, unfortunately, sometimes you have to resort to suspension or expulsion if it endangers the well-being or the educational process within school.
All right, very well said. Thank you, Dr. Tamika. Appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, y'all, we're just about out of time. Certainly, I thank you for joining us for this very, very important topic. I would encourage you to spend some time with your child's teacher, the educator, the administrator. If there is a problem, get involved. I think there was someone who called and talked about how they saw the little girl and her mother was on the phone. You want to stay in your child's quality world. You want to make sure that when you're spending time with your child that you are actually present, that you're not on your phone, whatever you're doing, but actually talking to them. We are all born with a default need for attachment. Every child, if you're listening, you were a child, you were an infant at some point, and you needed to be attached. And you were attached to your mother, your father, your grandparent, whoever raised you, whoever was there for you, even if it was an adoption situation. Somebody, you were attached to somebody. And whoever, whatever child is attached to us, whether you are the primary caregiver for that child, or even if you are a caregiver in daycare. A lot of our daycare folks who serve, those children love them as much as, and sometimes in some cases even more unknowingly than they do the parents, because they are with that person so much, anywhere from 8 to 10 hours a day, and sometimes 12, from 6 to 6. Anyway, we're out of time for now. Enjoy this beautiful Saturday afternoon. I'm Pastor James Jackson. From all of us here at Praise Indies Inspiration Station, we like you, we love you, and you make us smile. And those of you who are streaming, same thing. God bless you.
Last time